Okay, we're going to do approximation problems. Approximation. Now, since calculators are around, this isn't the most important section, but it's fun, and I think once you know how to do this. Now, remember that the derivative, f prime of x, is equal to the limit as delta x goes to 0 of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x. In fact, I have every right to replace x with something else. I'm going to call it a instead. I'm going to call it a instead. Okay, now, if I remove the limit, if I remove the fact that delta x is approaching 0, I get approximation. But that's only if delta x is small. Delta x small. If delta x is very large, the left side and the right side don't have to be anywhere near one another. Treating this symbol, the approximate symbol, just like an equal sign, I want to solve algebraically for this. Well, like I've always said, the denominator times the other side is equal to the whole top. That is f prime of a times delta x approximately f of a plus delta x minus f of a. Again, I want to solve for this. So I bring the f of a to the other side. So we have f prime of a times delta x, bring this over, x plus f of a. This is equal to f of a plus delta x. F of a plus delta x approximately now. There's two reasons I did what I did. One, because I wanted to see the derivation. And number two, I had no idea what the formula was. Okay, I have better things to memorize. I derive it. Okay, so let us try to approximate some values. So let me write the formula down. F of a plus delta. So we're going to be given the left side. And we want to approximate it by saying that it's f prime of a times delta x plus f of a. Which means we need to find three things. F prime of a, delta x, and f of a. You might want to say fourth. We have to find out what a is. Okay, once we have those three pieces that I underlined, we have the answer. You know, you multiply f prime of a by delta x, and then add f of a to that. Okay, so now, suppose I asked you to approximate the square root of 17. So f of a plus delta x is the square root of 17. Now, question you ask yourself is, what is the closest number to 17 that you know the square root of? And that's what a is going to be. A is going to be 16. And a plus delta x will be 17, which means delta x is 1. Because a plus delta x, 16 plus 1, is 17. Okay, so we have a and we have delta x. So we have one of the three. We have we have delta x. Now we need to find f of a. Well, f of x is what you're doing to a plus delta x. what is being done to a plus delta x? Well, a plus delta x is 17. What is being done to 17? Taking the square root of it. So you take the square root of x. So then f of a, better known as f of 16, is the square root of 16 of 4. So now we have f of a. The next thing we want to find out is f prime of a. Well, before you can find f prime of a number, like before we can find f of a number, we have to find f of x. Well, if f of x is square root of x, you should know that f prime of x is 1 over 2 times square root of x. And therefore, f prime of a, better known as f prime of 16, is 1 over 2 times the square root of 16. If the square root of 16 is 4, then 2 times 4 is 8. So now I have the three pieces of information. Square root of 17 is approximately f prime of a, which is 1 over 8, times delta x is 1, plus f of a, which is 4. So the answer is 4 and an 8. So the record in 8 is 0.125. Let's see, I do have a calculator, I think. So let's see what my calculator says is the square root of 17. And my calculator says the square root of 17. Now this is also an approximation because square root of 17 goes on forever and ever. But I mean, they both had 4, they had 0.1, they had 2 tenths. It differed in their thousandth position. It was good up into 2 digits, 2 decimal numbers. How could I get a better approximation? Why was it not so good? And the answer was, delta x wasn't that small. Delta x was not that small. In this case, in the next column, we'll let delta x be a little bit smaller. Okay, now remember that f of a plus delta x is approximately f prime of a times delta x plus f of a. And it asks you to find out what 4.9 squared, or approximate 4.9 squared. So what you ask yourself is, what's the closest number to 4.9 that you know how to square? And that's what I'm going to let a equal. And that's 5. Now, when you add on delta x to a, that is, a plus delta x is 4.9. So delta x must be negative 0.1. Okay, so I have delta x, and now I have a. So I have a chance to find f of a and f prime of a. But first, let's find f of x. Well, whatever is being done, okay, a plus delta x, that's what we're going to do to x. And what's being done to a plus delta x, that is, what's being done to 4.9 is it's being squared. So I'm going to do the same to x. I'm going to square it. So then I can find f of a. That is f of 5, which is 25. So I have f of a is 25. Now I need to find f prime of it. That is, I need to find f prime of 5. But first I need to know f prime of x. If f of x is 2x, then f prime of x is 2x, which is, in our case, 2 times 5, or 10. Okay? So now I have all 3 pieces. So 4.9 squared is approximately f prime of a, which negative 0.1, negative 1. Plus 25, very surprised at that answer, but it's 24. Okay, so since delta x was a little bit smaller than before, maybe we'll get a closer answer. But keep in mind, this time we're squaring, so errors grow more rapidly than when we were taking square roots earlier. Okay, so let's see what my calculator gives me. We want to do 4.9 squared. Okay, so my calculator tells me that 4.9 squared, believe it or not, is 24.01, which was pretty close. It was pretty close. Okay, let's try one more. Formula is f of a plus delta x is approximately f prime of a delta x plus f of a. You're being asked to approximate something to the 2/3 power. How about 7.9? 7.9. Okay. So, what's the closest number to 7.9 if you know how to raise to the 2/3 power? Okay, now, for example, if it said 6.9 to the 2/3, you shouldn't say, ooh, that's about 7 to the 2/3. Well, I mean, it is, but you don't know 7 to the 2/3. What times itself 3 times gives you 7? I don't know. But you know what? If you have 7.9, which is close to 8, you do know 8 to the 2/3. What times itself 3 times gives you 8? 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then square that number. Okay, that's why I'm going to let A be 8. And when you add on delta x, you should get 7.9. So delta x, once again, is negative 0.1. Now we have to find out what f of x is, and then f of 7.9, and then f prime of x, and f prime of 7.9. Well, f of x is exactly what's being done to x, and f of x is exactly what was being done to a plus delta x. That is, it's being raised to the 2/3 power. So therefore, f of 8 is 8 to the 2/3, which we claimed was 4. And now we have to find f prime of x. Well, f prime of x is, bring the power down. I look at f of x, I bring the power down. X. 2 takes away 3, that goes on the top. The bottom, namely 3 doesn't change. But this is the same as 2 over 3x to the 3rd. And then f prime of 8 will be, well, 2's on top, 3's on the bottom, and 8 to the 3rd is 2. So the answer is just a third. The 2's cancel out. Okay, so this is approximately f prime of a, which is 1/3, times negative 0.1, plus f of a, I think, was 4. Now, so this is negative 0.1 over 3 plus 4. If I multiply the top by 10, I get 1, which has no decimal anymore. I have to multiply the bottom by 10. plus 4. So you get 4 minus the 30th, which is 3, and 29/30th. And if you take a calculator to approximate 29/30th, let's see what we get. 29 divided by 30. So this is very, very close to 3.96666 forever. In fact, that's exactly what it is. 3.9666 forever. Guess what we're getting as an approximation? Let us calculate 7.9 to the 2/3. Now, last time our delta x was negative 0.1, but we squared. And our error was 0.01. This time we have the same delta x, but we're not squaring. We're doing less than squaring. I think our error would be less. It won't be as much as 0.01. Okay, 7.9 raised to the 2 divided by 3 power. And that gives me 3.96659. 596. If I round off to this place, to this place, since this number is 5 or more, I need to bump up the 9. But when you bump up the 9, 59 becomes 60. So up into 4 decimal places, we had the same answer. Okay, up to 4 decimal places. Actually, that's not true. Up to scratch what I said. Up to 3 decimal places, we had the same answer. Up to 3 decimal places. And the 4th decimal place was really close. It wasn't off by as much as 100 like the last problem. Powers get smaller, for the same delta x, the errors get less. Okay, that completes this section. Know your formula? Take your time finding f prime of a, delta x, f of a.